All
Are
right,
you
you ready
are
to
you
get going?
recording? Are you recording?
Oh, I've recorded the entire the
Oh, okay.
entire
That's
event.
fine. Yeah, and I got some notes here today. I mean,
Oh, it's good
go.
because I don't have any notes. It's another exciting edition of the monthly insights, sales insights, eGrocery with David Bishop. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing great, Mark. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to see you. I've been out there amidst the viewers and listeners to this video that you and I do.
Well, you've been a man around the town or the man on the street, really getting a
Man,
pulse of things directly from the retailer.
like Johnny LaRue, Street Beef.
There you go, man. I don't know who that is, but let's go with it.
All right. I want to dedicate this episode to Richard Swinek, who is the senior director of ecom at Albertsons. We were at Grocery Tech in Dallas the week before last. You know, Richard recognized me first time ever. I felt somewhat famous. He's been watching the monthly insights and gets a lot of
Mhm.
value out of them.
There you
Not
go.
a lot of entertainment, but value.
Hey, you know what? We're a little light on splash, but heavy on sizzle, I guess. If that's the way it goes, I don't know.
It's your personality, I think.
Well, you know what? Retailers like to know what they need to know, and the color commentary can be left for others. So,
Yeah, yeah. He did say he's getting information that he doesn't get elsewhere, so that's a differentiator for us.
well, I mean that reinforces what we do because as you know, Mark, when we started this, it was really out of the desire to fill that knowledge gap that
Yeah,
we ourselves couldn't see or sense at that time. So it's great to hear that. As we were preparing for this, even amongst internally, obviously, if you look at the top line, we're down slightly. So people are like, okay, what does that mean? Someone commented it this week to me, gee, we're below 7 billion. What's up with that? And I think, that's another point, which is, there is a degree of seasonality that we've documented over the last several years. May, in fact, is historically, again,
yeah.
historically being framed in the last 3 years, the lowest month of the year as we essentially enter the summer season and our lifestyles adjust a little bit to, having kids home, big and small. And, we see that slowly tick back up into August, which is really the back to school time. So, we're kind of in the summer doldrums, if you will, where we believe based on historical perspective, we're going to hover around the 7 billion range, on a monthly cadence, through July, most likely, absent any external major event.
And I think that's a great call out. I mean, in the slide behind me, you can see a year over year comparison. But what a lot of people don't realize, you've been doing this since March 2020, and that
Yeah.
and it's not reflected there, but you can see the recurring pattern as it were.
It's in the market share report. It's a little more evident simply because we're showing essentially 3-month averages for each quarter, and first quarter usually is picking off the high.
Yeah,
Started in the fourth quarter, we hit the doldrums. In second quarter, we start to bounce back in the third quarter, and then kind of peak in the fourth. So we've seen a similar pattern to different degrees over the last 3 years, which would indicate to us a fairly sizable seasonality component to the business. Now that's at the top line. It's not within those segments. Obviously, we could go further than that, but that would just be the top line.
yeah. Let's talk about. I think because you referenced some of the influences on this past month's results, and I think the larger players are mixing things up a bit with some subscription or membership promotions that may be skewing results. Can you talk a little more about that?
The way we would look at that is, there was strong promotional activity during the month that fueled or propelled interest in using delivery. And that really did help delivery, kind of, sort of, if you will, because obviously at the end of the day, its sales only went up about 0.2%. But, as I mentioned in a LinkedIn post earlier this week, It could have been worse because without those aggressive promotional offers, we would have likely seen delivery go negative as well. That's the main thing. Now, it started with Instacart
Mhm.
probably mid-month offering a deep discount on their annual membership. It was 80% off. So it went from $99 to $19. It's no longer in effect as we speak. And a few days later, that was countered by Walmart, who did a 50% off their annual Walmart Plus membership. So instead of $98, it was $49. That also sunset or expired, I think, June 7th. So, those two were really interesting, and they kind of dovetail into some of the other observations, we can talk about today, Mark, in terms of the role of subscriptions. What does the lockup using the annual term mean relative to retention or even attracting new customers? But yeah, that promotional activity did help to a
Mhm.
degree. And I think, it's important to realize that, delivery's monthly active users grew over 10% year over year, and pickup, which didn't have that support, still had a modest monthly active user growth. It went up almost 3%, but without those subsidies or incentives. So,
Right.
again, the focus there is what's the impact of those incentives on demand and how sticky is that demand? And again, we can talk about the tactics that were used this last month as it ties into some of those other conversations.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know as a provider of first party e-commerce, we're getting questions about the utility and the appropriateness of subscription programs, membership programs,
Yeah.
in order to incentivize repeat purchase behavior from the more sticky customers that our grocery retailers are seeing online.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact that your returning customers, and we'll use the customer who's used your service 4 more times in the last 90 days versus that first timer, they're significantly more likely to continue use because of their familiarity as well as the perceived value they're deriving from using the service. They also spend 30 to 40% more on an order basis, and they generally make twice as many orders per
Mhm.
month. So, this is where, and I think you guys at Mercatus have highlighted this in some LinkedIn posts, the importance of protecting that returning established customer is important, because if you lose one of them, you really have to win over 2.5 to 3 new customers to replace the sales loss associated with that mature customer. That's important. Now, the other issue is, okay, where do we find new customers? And I put new
Yep.
in quotes. If we say new to online, point there we would make is there's not a lot of new fish coming into the customer pool. We have seen a continued deceleration in the growth of the overall user base. And by overall user base, that would be anyone who has ever shopped online. It only grew 0.7% year over year in May. Last year, it grew 0.9, and the year before that was 1. So we're seeing a deceleration in that growth, which is simply fewer new customers coming into that pool, meaning the new customers we want are actually lapsed customers that might have been lost from someone else that now are reconsidering coming in. But what that means is they have an experience backlog that can help shape their going in expectations for a new provider if they choose to, come back on.
Yep. And I that's the challenge for a regional is, new customer acquisition. To your point, they're also looking to migrate customers from the marketplace providers to into their 1P, and we've talked in the past about different tactics in order to do that. But incentivizing those 3P customers to come to your 1P and not providing a satisfying customer experience, you're going to be throwing good money after bad.
If we look at Instacart and what they did in May, it's going to be harder to do that because, again, Instacart's offer really was targeting existing Instacart users who would likely be active online and could see the value of that membership. So they're not necessarily trying to lure or attract new customers with this, but instead lock them in. And by
Yeah.
lock them in, the key is their focus of their promotional push, as well as with Walmart, was on the annual membership. So that 80% discount meant, hey, you only pay $19 this year, and then next year it reverts to the $99. But in essence, that person pays up front that sunk cost. And so that, in essence, gives them the motivation or incentive to kind of stick with Instacart and
Yeah.
make the best of it, right? And if they do that, that just means that customer is not in play for others because they haven't been given a reason to consider alternatives. So, Walmart comes out 4 or 5 days later with their offer. It's a little different, but it's also annual. So, and the way they promoted it, Mark, was in app. So it wasn't like I saw it on an ad in, a video game or a billboard or
Hmm.
a direct message in email. I saw it in the app. So they were, again, targeting existing customers or users of their mobile app, highlighting this feature with the goal of locking them in for 12 months. And again, they followed a similar approach. So part of that is, hey, these are most likely our best customers or frequent customers or light customers. And in either case, we're going to motivate the light customer to make more purchases. We're going to be rewarding our best, heavier customers.
Yeah.
Both of those things are good for retention and in growing the top line in a market where it's becoming increasingly challenging to attract a new customer.
And of course, Instacart can do that because they certainly have invested in understanding and modeling the shoppers who use their platform.
Yeah, their goal is to keep those customers on the marketplace. I mean, that's
Yeah.
critical for their ability to drive retail media dollars. So their goal is to prevent their customers from having a reason or a motivation to go shop out elsewhere. But for those retailers who are partnering with Instacart and trying to grow their first party, we just see increasing likelihood of kind of conflict or competition for the same customer, because
Yeah.
in a market where it's harder to find new customers, you're going to have to take some different approaches. And now where we're looking at first party versus third party, especially in a day when we talk about the importance of highlighting how you help customers save money, supermarkets, if they're partnered with the third party, could immediately help save money for their customers if they can demonstrate and persuade them to switch from the third party to the first party, because of the markup difference between those two platforms is considerable. The challenge is it's a partner with many of these grocers in multiple ways. They may be white label providers providing distribution support. So it's not as clear cut for them. And in some cases, they may be working with them to supplement or cover some of the gaps that they may have. Walmart is a great example. Typically, Walmart's not on the Instacart app in the majority of the top 100 markets. However, it is found in a small percentage of them. And generally speaking, that's because of Walmart's own fulfillment infrastructure in those markets where they tend to have less coverage. So again, you can see there's a delicate balance or dance that's going to go on between various grocers of different sizes, depending where they're at with, rolling out their omni-channel strategies.
How do you see the rest of the summer unfolding?
If we look at the past as any indication to the future, what we would suspect for, June and July is relatively similar sales levels. We are seeing Walmart continue to push its Walmart Plus. The fact that the Fed is holding steady on interest rates simply means there's continued pressure on those households that are more leveraged. Those households that are more leveraged tend to be the lower income. The challenge there is the lower income households, those under 50,000, represent the largest user base of online grocery shopping. So the very people who are most at risk are also the ones who are the largest user group for grocers. Again, finding ways to demonstrate how you help them save money, whether that's through digital deals, whether that's through personalized offers, whether that's through allowing them to make their own trade-off between how fast do I want my order and how much am I willing to pay for it, are just examples of that. Or highlighting at the end during the checkout, which many do, this is how much you save today, right?
Yeah.
To lessen that. Because what we're seeing is the cost consideration, while it generally is considered secondary to convenience when shopping online for groceries, is rearing its ugly head up for those who are more affected. And one thing I looked at before we started today, and it's a good reminder for folks, is what share of after-tax spending do households at various income levels spend on groceries and just food at home? And we have households under 50,000 who are spending 10, 12, 13% of after tax. You go to the households over 200,000, they're spending about 3 to 4, and it gradually moves up. So these issues are regressive in nature. They're impacting the lower income more than the upper. That's fairly general trend that we would have. The challenge here is that lower income group, which is more exposed to these issues, especially with interest rates, because they're the ones who are more likely carrying revolving debt on the credit cards and now paying these, astronomically high interest rates. These are the ones who are now making the choices. We can see, again, continued push to mass. They had a nice lift in monthly active users, around 7%. So that would be indicative of continued flight to value. We still see growth for mass coming from upper income, but again, there's a lot less financial incentives there. Although, in some cases, they could be in a similar bind if someone's over leveraged with debt to income. I think going forward, the grocers, who most are 10, 15 percentage, percent higher than Walmart, need to demonstrate to their customers how they help their customers save money when shopping with them, period. Do more ways of that and give them more control of helping, empower them to make those choices, right? And having a fixed fee for pickup or delivery doesn't accomplish that. Having a variable fee that's tiered based on a trade-off of how fast I want it, or conversely, how slow I want it, with how much I'm willing to pay, is a feature that is growing very slowly, but it's been proven very effective both in the field and in the research we have. So those would be some additional observations, Mark.
Yeah. And of course, we've talked about that before, and certainly comes up in the conversations the team at Mercatus have with a lot of our clients and those who are looking to become our clients. And it goes back to the research that we've done. I think it was over 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and it's becoming the elephant in the room, is what is driving the success of Walmart or mass. And most of it today, people would attribute to its price leadership. And without question, that is helping. But another aspect of it is the utilitarian value of its mobile application today.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And specifically how it helps enhance the in-store shopping trip. And I used it recently on one of my in-store forays at Walmart. And I was impressed by the enhancements it has. I mean, for instance, its navigational wayfinding abilities are now on par with Target relative to locating precisely a product within the store using the map is great. They don't have the list optimization that would create an optimized walk path for you through the store like Target has, but I'm sure they could. But of course,
did you notice any glitches with the signal within the store?
No, their Wi-Fi signals are pretty good. That's a challenge for some of the other large box, like Home Depot, which is really a best-in-class retailer when it comes to in-store features within its mobile app. It does glitch out because of the Wi-Fi network it has in their stores. Walmart, on the other hand, I haven't experienced any type of latency resulting from poor Wi-Fi coverage. So I think they've done a nice job there. And again, keep in mind, all this is being done pre-ESL tag implementation. Once they have that, their ability to do other things will improve the in-store experience more, assuming you're using the app. And again, having the app on your phone just simply exposes more people to a targeted message like they've done recently when they were promoting Walmart Plus. And those people may be in-store shoppers, but the fact that they have the app means they're potentially going to be online shoppers because they've already done the hard step of downloading it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Really being able to connect the e-commerce experience with more of the engagement experience through a native mobile application. So you're able to convert those in-store shoppers more likely to transact online as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that in-store app feature or features that, someone like Walmart has, we believe is helping it capture a larger share of spend amongst its primary customers. I mean, that in essence is what we report in the monthly. And we believe that's because they have a more engaged customer base. Their
Yeah,
customers are also more likely to be online. So if they're more likely to be online and they're more likely to have the app, they're more likely to do it within the
that's right.
Walmart app. And that's what we're
That's right.
seeing.
Yeah. Well, David, really appreciate your time today. It's great insights as usual, and I look forward to chatting with you next month when we'll have more witty banter and engaging conversation.
There you go. Good
All
copy
right.
there, Mark.
Okay. All right, folks. Appreciate you spending some time with us. We'll talk and see you soon. Bye bye.